Hello, everybody.
Hi, guys. We're back.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, you guys.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Sing it. Keep going.
That's all I know. I don't
Oh, you don't know? Oh,
I
no.
don't know the Cotter theme.
How do you not know?
Before my time? You know, though.
Oh, wow. Okay, that was hurtful. And the only reason I semi-know the song is because I went and visited my grandpa in LA back when I was a younger, and then they had reruns on TV.
Sure. It's okay, Grandpa.
Wow. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Enter Code Podcast. There, is that right?
Yeah. Let's talk like that the rest of the episode.
Okay, perfect. My name is Ryan Welch, and I'm with the young whippersnapper, the super handsome chosen whippersnapper, John Jefferson Jr.
Wow, you do that really well.
Hey!
Oh, gosh.
What?
Oh, jeez.
What?
What did I ask for?
What?
Guys, I'm sorry.
See, and I was kind of debating whether or not I wanted to do the, Stone Cold Steve Austin what's.
Oh, no.
Or if I'm doing like an actual grandpa saying what.
I prefer the grandpa
okay.
what. Yeah.
Perfect. Welcome once again to another episode of the Enter Code Podcast. We are here to talk about some fun topics today, and we're glad you can join us as we go through our dad lives and talk about fun, nerdy things that interest us and hopefully interest you.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
That's exactly right. As always, remember that we are on social media. We are at EnterCodePod on Facebook and Twitter, and we are on anchor.fm/EnterCodePodcast, where you can leave a voicemail and tell us all the things, all your innermost secrets.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll splice into the episode depending on how many cuss words are in there and
I mean, if
content.
It's juicy and kid-friendly, then sure.
Yeah.
But if it's like F-bombs, then nah, we ain't doing that.
Yeah, that's true. If it's like just a really spicy hot take, ooh, yeah, let's add it.
Real spicy.
Just real spicy. Which we might have in this episode. So as you hopefully have seen, if not, please go to our YouTube page. Remember to search Enter Code Podcast, and you can see unboxing of two very pretty machines that we like to call next-gen consoles. So
I like to call them new hotness. The
new hotness, that's right. If you haven't seen us unbox the new hotness and make fools of ourselves as we cry and kiss and fawn over
I didn't
the
cry
new
that
hotness.
much.
Just a little bit.
Don't judge me.
I'm not judging. It's completely natural.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. Come on now. So if you haven't seen those videos, it's on our YouTube page. You're more than welcome to go and check it out and hopefully share with friends and let people know how silly we are when we're opening these things up. But we wanted to dedicate our show directly towards these new consoles that we have. That's right. We're talking about our time with Xbox Series X and our time with the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Yes, we are very fortunate because we do know that there are plenty of people that are having the worst time getting these consoles.
No.
And so we feel lucky that we were able to get one.
Yeah, I had that conversation with a customer. She's like, "Are you guys going to get them? Your website says coming soon." And I was like, yeah, I would probably try GameStop and Walmart.com. And then I told her about bots and she was like, "What's that?" And I was like, oh, you don't even know what you're up against.
Nope. We are blessed with technology like these next-gen consoles, and we are punished with technology like bots who jump in and grab everything. And honestly, one of the worst parts about this next-gen console launch is the secondhand sellers who are selling these things for $1,000 each when retail price is $500.
I think that was like the cheapest one I saw on eBay. It was like maybe like $1,100.
The cheapest one I saw was around here. It was like $650. So I was a little surprised. And
I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, but I didn't see it on there very long, so I think someone took them up on it.
Yeah.
It's just, we are in a weird time where obviously having at-home entertainment is really important and kind of helps us get through the day-to-day as we deal with kind of the mental struggle with dealing in a pandemic and trying to be, have like a normal life. And, games have been a really good escape
yes.
these past, 8-9
therapeutic.
months. Yeah, so, we know that it's a struggle to buy these things. If you're trying to buy one, be patient. And also keep in mind that there are only a couple titles out that are true PlayStation 5 consoles, or titles for PlayStation. So if you're need to hold off on a next-gen console, whether it's money or just stock, then I think you can survive, for a few months while you're waiting for more stock to arrive.
You still have Spider-Man on your PS4. That's okay.
That's right. You have Tetris Connect on the Xbox Game Pass.
That game is unforgiving.
Yes, it is, but it's so pretty. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that here in a second. So what we'll do for our episode tonight, we'll break down the things we really like about the consoles. I have been playing the Xbox, and John has been playing the PlayStation 5. So we'll break down what we like, what we don't like, some of the games that we've been playing. Maybe we do some kind of, really quick reviews. And then I would like to end it with some recommendations.
Okay.
What games do we recommend you buy? Do we recommend that you buy these things on the secondhand market? Spoiler alert, no.
Shocker!
Do not spend $1,000 on these things. That's ridiculous.
No.
So let's start off with the things we like about the consoles. I will go first, so I can let you gather your thoughts about it. So the Xbox Series X is, in a way, it feels like it's too good to be true with some of the things that consoles can do. We know that PCs are out there and you can spend hundreds of dollars and they will bring games up to, more than 120 frames a second. They load super quick. They look beautiful on those insane graphics cards. And so sometimes it felt like consoles will never get close to what a PC can get to. But for me, the Xbox Series X really shows off some of the best things that any console can show off. The Xbox Series X is super fast. So load times are cut pretty much in half. I did a little, I tried to play some games on the Xbox One X before getting this new hotness. And just from the little notes I made, it really does cut down the load times for games. It feels like almost in half, and sometimes even more than half. So it's lightning quick. It's super quiet. Like, I can barely hear it when I'm running anything. Even some of the games that require a lot of the CPU power, for example. The Call of Duty's out there. Watchdogs Legion, for example. There's some games that on the One X, they were... the One X was struggling. But the Xbox Series X handles it, and it's quiet, and it's fast.
Heck, even the load time on Star Wars, was it Jedi Fallen Order?
Fallen Order, yep.
Yeah, that was a nightmare. I remember playing on the Xbox, and just the load, and on the Series X is instantly. And and that was really helpful, especially when the platforming in Fallen Order is a little rough around the edges in some areas. A little bit.
So sometimes it's easy to miss things that you need to climb onto, or you drop down and you fall too far, for example. And so there was always a bit of a load time when you had to load your character back up. And so in this, you die and you come back in seconds. It's super fast. And the game was pretty buggy at launch anyway, and so just having all the patches in there, it's just amazing. It runs so well, and I feel kind of spoiled in a way. Last gen consoles, they can't hold a candle to what these next gen consoles can do.
It's not even fair.
Yeah, it's not. It's so, as someone who enjoys gaming, it was definitely worth it getting the new console. One of the cool features that I really enjoy that I didn't think I would care about, but it's made a world of difference, is the quick resume. So if you have a bunch of games that you want to play, let's say you have 3 or 4 games, if you can load them up and you can kind of switch back and forth between them and load up games in seconds. The only hiccup I saw was for online games. So, for example, we went from Jedi Fallen Order and we tried to go to Rocket League, for example. And I think just because of servers and things like that, it kind of reloaded the game from the beginning every single time, which is fine. That it was still quick, but not as quick as going from a non-online game to a non-online game. So going from like Tetris, for example, or Fuser, for example, to Jedi Fallen Order and then back, like it's instantaneous. It's super quick. So the bottom line is, if you have a family of gamers and you have kids playing certain games, you can turn on a game for them, and it will basically keep your spot where you're at, and then you can turn back to your game when you're done, or when they're done, and again, it takes seconds to play. So it's really just a phenomenal machine. So those are obviously some of the big perks of having the Xbox. How about with your new hotness with the PlayStation 5?
So
tell us all about it.
The new hotness, like when I first turned it on, kind of similar to the Xbox, it was super quiet, and I was like, oh, because there were some times when my PS4 Pro would sound really loud, like a jet engine, and that's fine, whatever. So I guess just the feel of like the controller was nice, and just like the quick loading of games, and it's a process in the beginning because you have to transfer your PS4 data over to PS5. You don't have to, but it's kind of nice. But one of the things that I enjoy too is you can have your game loading. So I was loading up Spider-Man while I was doing my initial install. So by the time I was done with the install, I was able to play. And it was just quick. And of course, there's updates. There's always updates. That's the joy of new consoles.
That's right.
There's oodles and noodles of updates. Did I say oodles and noodles?
You did.
I did. Wow.
Way to go.
Yeah. How you like that? One of the things kind of, echoing what Ryan was saying is like the quick resume. The PS5 isn't there yet. Like it'll let you go back into the game, but it doesn't let you resume where you started off. And I guess that's an update they're doing later. But, I went back and because there's not a lot of PS5 games. I mean, obviously you got your Spider-Man, you got Demon Souls that they remastered, Sackboy, which I haven't gotten yet, but Spider-Man looks phenomenal on there. Like just the updated graphics, even playing back the remastered one for PS4, like they changed his face, but it works. And it looks amazing. Like just the little details of I was showing my wife, I was like, hey, look at the snow right here. And she was like, you're ridiculous. And I was like, but it looks good, doesn't it? She's like, yeah, it does. And I even let her hold the controller, and she was like, oh, that was a little heavier than I thought. So even the controllers have a little bit more weight to them. Yeah. So it feels like a sturdier thing, but the responsiveness of the DualSense and the triggers, I don't feel like I have to hammer those down to get it to respond to me, which I'm like, yeah. But then I'm like, let me try this on a fighting game, see how that goes. Right. Those are definitely button mashing and aggressiveness. And
it's supposed to have, with that DualSense, it's supposed to also feel differently in the triggers if you're playing any shooter games. So for example, Call of Duty, with the more recent one, the trigger pull is different based on the gun you have or the classification of the gun you have. So you shooting a rocket launcher is going to feel different.
Rocket launcher.
Right. If the shooting a rocket launcher is going to feel different than just shooting a machine gun or a pistol, which is just cool. It's super cool.
Actually, I downloaded the Uncharted Collection.
Oh yeah.
And I was switching out guns, and it definitely felt different, on that trigger. And I didn't even realize that. I was like, oh, okay, Uncharted still looks the same, but a little bit better resolution. But now that you say that, I'm like, oh, I did notice the difference on the trigger. Yeah, it's an interesting piece of technology where I think with the PlayStation, that's one of its biggest selling points right now. Yes, it's fast. Not as fast as the Xbox. And it's faster than it used to be.
That's right, and it's quiet.
Xbox they're faster.
Right.
By a couple seconds, it's okay.
But I think the way this DualSense works as a controller, it's going to open up possibilities to developers who are developing games on PlayStation. It's that's one of the big selling points. I think the machine is great for a PlayStation, but the controller itself is phenomenal.
Well, and one of the things that's nice about it is that you get the Astro's Playground?
Yes, it comes for free.
So you got that free, and that's basically just a tutorial on how the DualSense works.
That's right.
So seeing the motion, it's like super responsive, more so than I felt like the PS4 one was. And it's just like a simple thing of like the initial, like you flick him out of the controller.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, okay. And there's like a spot where like you're collecting coins because it's like a little platformer. It's a kid-friendly game, which is great.
That's good.
Something my daughter could sit down and watch me play.
So no Demon Souls?
No Demon Souls.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I don't want to break my controller.
Next year?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, just show her. Show her next year. She'll be fine.
But they even had like a spot where like you're silly rabbit, where you're like using a crane machine and like one trigger. Like in my head, I want to like push down hard, but it's like no, you kind of do like a half pull and it cranks it. And you're doing that with the other trigger, but you also have like you doing the motion and it's moving the arm that's catching the ball coming out.
Interesting.
So like I would flick that, it'd pop out, I would catch it, and I'd be like, hey Julie, look, my wife, and I could throw the ball that I just got, the capsule, and catch it, and then you would just have to press the right trigger and crush it.
Interesting.
Like, oh, all right.
That's really cool.
But on a side note, Astros is basically, it's like going through like the history of all the PlayStation. So you find all these trophies, and it's like the PS1, PS2, PSP, PSP Go, the Vita, and it's like different parts of this collector's room. And you also have like this art mural just kind of talking about all the different history of PlayStation. I was like, that's a nice added touch. I was not expecting that with this game.
That's super cool. And I also heard that there's like some time trials in there too, like so if you really want to like compare to friends and try to beat levels quickly and things like that, you can do that. There's a lot of there's a lot on social media, a lot of back and forth with some media types, with some gaming media members that are just trying to one up each other on Astro, which is cool, right? Like you want to have some kind of fun out of the game. So it's I think You mentioned graphics beforehand with Spider-Man, and it's the same thing with Xbox, with the Series X, where it involves ray tracing. And so I guess the best way I can explain ray tracing is the detail is very different than what we're used to with console games, where there's reflections in windows that show the action going on. Like I booted up Watchdogs, for example, and stared out a window, and behind me you can see the trees like swaying, you can see cars driving by, people walking by in the reflection, and seeing like in puddles of water, seeing reflections and things like that. Just it's 4K gaming, and the ray tracing just allows just that extra little bit of detail that really wows people. I think.
Like kind of saying what you're saying on that with the ray tracing, like having that on Spider-Man, and like going in the bathroom and just kind of seeing him, and he's like, oh yeah, my hair looks so much better, like Miles, and he's like the little attention to detail, be able to see how clear he looks looking at himself, and like seeing what's going on in the bathroom, right? And you're just like, oh. Thank you, Insomniac. I love you even more now.
I know, right? Like, I was bummed out about hearing the runtime for the game for Miles Morales being, about 8-9 hours. But I think the amount of detail they put into it, and also the side quests make it a lot longer than 8 to 9 hours. But, I mean, it was lovingly made and lovingly developed, I think, which is pretty cool.
In that regard, not to spoil anything because you haven't played it yet.
Spoilers!
But the storyline was awesome. It almost felt like they took kind of a page out of Spider-Man into Spider-Verse. Kind of like that heartwarming feeling of like get you like you emotionally are connected to what's going on with Miles, and as he's becoming Spider-Man into his own, and not feeling like he has to be like Peter. Yeah. And, you could beat it in like, 8 hours or whatever, but I feel like I played a lot more than that, just trying to do all the side missions, because there's like certain objectives, and like even some of the side missions, like they tie into like Peter's history of like his start of being Spider-Man, and, it unlocks costumes, and I was like, yes. Ooh. And I like costumes. Yeah. And some of Miles's are just like, mwah.
Well, and they're costumes with a purpose. Yeah. Like, you can turn on, take since you mentioned Into the Spider-Verse, one of the pre-order bonuses was getting that costume. And you can turn on the, like, I don't even know what the word is for it. You know, each suit has a kind of like almost like a different ability.
Yeah.
And so one of the abilities is it lowers the frame rate to match what the movie had.
Yeah.
And so in the game running at, 60 frames a second as it is, it's crazy lowering down the frame rate if you're wearing the suit.
It's definitely different. Like when you're not having the Spider-Verse world turned on, everything is like faster. Mm-hmm. But because it's that animated, it's slowed down.
Yeah.
I didn't play with it as much on just because I was like, I like this, but not enough to play the whole game through it like that.
That makes sense. It's not for everybody. It's fun. I like that you can turn on the ability to have like word bubbles when you punch people.
Yeah.
Have it go wham, bam, it's like, that's fantastic. But I mean, the majority of the suits have like an actual tactical purpose to them where they do certain things and give you bonuses in certain areas. So it's, definitely a positive. We'll talk a little bit more about Miles here in a second, but thinking about, with everything, there's always kind of a downside. So you think about if there's any. You may not even think there's any downsides to the PlayStation 5.
Well, there's some.
For me, just to get this out there, and I've said it before in other episodes, but not having a true launch title for the Xbox Series X hurts. We don't have a Miles Morales. We don't have a Demon's Souls, which, Demon's Souls is not the type of game I like playing, but oh man, people are raving about how well the development company or the developers remastered this game, like a true remaster. It doesn't just look pretty, like they almost went from the ground up and made it in some ways, I think, better, than the original Demon's Souls. Sackboy, Astro, for example, like, there's some games that appeared on Game Pass that, they're as far as I know, they're not true launch titles. Tetris, for example, Tetris Effect Connected, it's going to be available on PlayStation eventually. I kind of think the Medium is as well. Mm-hmm. So there's some games on there for sure, but there's no true, like, launch title, and it's unfortunate. And I think you feel that when you're checking out the Xbox, because I mean, for me, Fuser was one of the best games I've played so far on the Xbox Series X, and it's not even a launch title. It's just it came out for all systems. Yeah, exactly right. So, not having a title for the Series X, that hurts. That really, really stinks. Another thing to keep in mind is if you want, at least for the Series X, if you want to unlock the true capabilities out of the machine, you're gonna want to make sure your TV is updated. And I know you're smiling. So I
said I was sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. So my TV, fairly new. It's about a year old. Maybe like a year and a half old. And so I can do 4K gaming, and so visually my games look phenomenal. Because of the refresh rate on my TV, I can't unlock in some games a higher frame rate. So, for example, Call of Duty could potentially get up to 120 frames a second, which is pretty darn good for a first-person shooter if your TV can handle it. So, it's almost like I just want to warn people that I'm very, very happy with the machine. Just if you want to, if you're one of those people that want to unlock the full capability of your next-gen console, you might have to look at upgrading your TV, which in this economy, it might not be doable. You know what I mean?
I mean, hit the Black Friday sales.
Yeah, you could. You could. I mean, it's just, that's a big investment, though. So, it's kind of asking a lot out of you. My games are going to top out at 60 frames a second, which is really good for me. I'm very happy with that. For me, if anything, the load times is what matters and how quiet the machine is. Yeah. So, it's for me, I'm very satisfied with the Series X. It's just, depends on your TV and kind of like how a lot of things are. So, again, that is a bit of a bummer, I think, especially, like, let's say, grandma's trying to buy something for their grandchildren. You know what I mean? Like, are they going to know, about what kind of not only what kind of console they're going to get, but like, what kind of TV the person has? Can they even handle the, it's so that's just kind of a bummer, I think. It just needs to be, in some ways, I think, some kind of warning. I think more of a warning, I think maybe should have been broadcasted out. So anyway.
And just speaking of TVs, I will put this out there. If you're wanting a TV that's designed to handle and have the HDMI 2.1 and all that for the Xbox and the PS5, I would research the Sony 900H. Mm-hmm. That is the model that they are saying is best handles that.
Yes.
So just putting that out there. And there are Black Friday sales on that TV, so it might be not too bad.
Right. Especially, not bad. You want to take advantage. Well, especially now in COVID world, there have been Black Friday sales for weeks now. And so, you could get a pretty nice TV for pretty cheap.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's just keep an eye out for sales, but just do a little research before you do. You buy it. Sony's good. LG has a couple good models. Mm-hmm. There are a couple Samsungs as well that have that capability. I know. I think Samsung and Xbox are partnered or something. They are.
Their QLED series is the one that they gear towards gaming.
Correct.
If you're gonna do that, don't get the Q60. I do the Q70 or higher. Because they downgraded the Q60. Last year it was a 120 hertz with a 240. They dropped it down to a 60 hertz with a 120 motion.
That's terrible. And that brings up the problem, especially if you want frame rates.
Yeah, you want that higher.
You want the higher refresh rate on the TV. Listen to your Uncle John, guys. He knows what he's talking about. He knows things.
This is my world, man. I'm here to help.
That's right. Okay. If there are any downsides to the PlayStation, and you can say there's no judgment.
No, there are some. I still feel like the battery life drains fast.
Oh, on the controller?
On the controller.
Oh.
But maybe that's because the brightness has to be turned down and get longer battery life out of it. And maybe that's just the norm to expect on the PlayStation. Okay. But I got a super long cord, so I'm plugged in, so I don't have to worry about it.
That's good.
Again, like I mentioned, I do want the quicker zoom to be more of an effect, to be comparable to what the Xbox had, because seeing Ryan have it on his Xbox was making me kind of jealous. No, I'm not buying another console. If my wife is listening, I don't need both. I don't want to get uppercutted when I get home.
Yeah, good call.
And the fact that they don't have the update for the hard drive, the external hard drive.
Yeah.
Still waiting on that. It's supposed to be a solid state that you can use, but for the memory that you have on there, after it's all said and done, it's supposed to be a terabyte, but you only have about maybe 800 plus gigs.
Right. I think they said 825 is what you would have.
Because most of it's going to your operating system, and then by the time you download like these big games like your Call of Duties, Spider-Man was pretty big, and you keep going and going, you're like, oh, okay, well, if I'm not going to play that right now, I won't download it and beat this one, and then I'll download it again.
Yeah. Get used to deleting games, especially if you have digital games. It's just going to make your life a million times easier. So you don't have to worry about the expansions and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk then about games. You already talked to Miles for a little bit about how good it is, story is. Obviously something you'd recommend, right?
Oh, yeah. In a heartbeat.
How about, what if you talk a little bit about the collection, the PS collection, the or was it PlayStation Plus collection?
PlayStation Plus collection.
So there's a collection of about 20 games that if you're a PlayStation Plus member, you can access and play a bunch of PS4 hits, basically. Well, and even older games, I think. Yeah. But I don't know. Tell the people.
So listen up, people. It's Uncle John talking. So yeah, it was nice having that. So, God of War, which I never got to beat on my PS4 just because, dad life. That was definitely one I had to install right away. You've got Last of Us. There's Days Gone. Infamous Second Son. Ratchet and Clank is on there.
Okay. Is Crash on there?
Crash is on there.
Nice.
So, you got some kid-friendly games to start off with, too, which is nice. But I jumped right in, and I just had to download God of War.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I doing on this game? Because it's been so long since I played, but I jumped right back into it. Oh, you thought that game looked pretty before?
Uh-huh.
Bro.
Really good?
Oh, Oh, so good.
Dang.
Like, even like the little details like we were talking about in Star Wars. Like the hair, like Atreus' hair looks better.
Really?
Like just little details like that. And I'm like, I love this console.
Yeah.
I'm so happy right now.
That's right. That's awesome. I mean, and you know, you can usually find PlayStation Plus memberships on sale. Usually. So, you know, just having 20 games right at your disposal is good. It's really, really good.
Well, and, you know, the fact that most of, like, your downloaded games that you had on your PS4 will carry over to the PS5.
Right.
I mean, there were some that were locked because they're PS4 exclusive, but the majority of my library, I can play on my 5.
Nice.
So I don't really need to bring out my 4. I mean, it'd be nice because it's the God of War PS4, but, you know, it's cool.
It's okay. It's served its purpose.
It has.
You know, press F and, you know, type F in the chat. It's retired, and that's okay.
Yes.
It can just, you know, live its life in happiness.
Yeah.
In a box in your closet or garage. Wherever you want to put it.
I'm not telling people they might come to my house and take it.
Never.
I ain't telling y'all nothing.
Tell me later. Right?
Okay, fine.
Okay, good. Thank you. Well, I've been playing, you know, again, no launch title, unfortunately, but on the Xbox Series X, the Call of Duty runs and looks very, very good. You know, some of the interesting thing, I think one of the hardest things to develop when it comes to games is hair, because sometimes it looks really good and sometimes it looks really bad.
Sometimes it looks like hot garbage.
Right. And it's kind of like, you know, blowing in the wind weirdly, you know, that's a big thing with Jedi Fallen Order. Like, his hair is always blowing in the wind, and it's like, dude, you're in a ship. Why is your hair blowing right now? You're not...
Dramatic effect.
Yeah, seriously, right? You know, so there's a few visual tweaks, you know, that it comes with any game with their game design and art direction and things like that. But, oh man, the detail of the characters and the character models in Call of Duty are fantastic. And they're so, so good. And, you know, it was so nice playing through the campaign and, you know, having the visual integrity of the game like last the entire game. Like, there wasn't any weird loading that I had to go through where things were out of place or things didn't load properly or glitches or things like that. Like, it was consistent, you know, 6-7 hour campaign, and it just ran smoothly and looked beautiful. Some of this has nothing to do with the Xbox Series X, but the close-up kills that you can do, the melee kills, are so silly. They're so silly. Like, you know, and hopefully children aren't listening to this, but, you know...
Plug your ears.
Yeah, seriously. Like, you know, your character, if you go in for a melee kill, like, will grab the enemy's knife and, like, you know, get them a few times, and then, like, grab the enemy's pistol out of their holster and, like, bammo. And it's just a little much.
It's like a John Wick move.
Right. And I'm just like... You know, I don't think these games are supposed to be real, obviously, but...
No, they're totally realistic.
Yes, yeah. That's what the Marines do. You know what? My fault, guys. I was assuming that it was a little bit overkill there. But no, I was wrong. Yeah, it was just... Anyway, some interesting design choices, but it looked great, though. It looked phenomenal. You know, playing Tetris, it's on Game Pass, just... visually stunning. Like, the Xbox Series X was made to play that game. Just beautiful and frustratingly hard, but still beautiful. I mentioned Fuser. Again, not a launch title, but if you enjoy music games like, you know, Rock Band, the creators of Rock Band made this, and you're basically your own DJ, and you grab music and you can drop different beats, different vocal layouts, other instruments, and you can create some of the craziest and awesome tracks.
And yes, we were having a dance party over here.
Oh my gosh.
All the kids were partying.
Guys, Whitney Houston in there on the vocals.
Oh my goodness.
And then I grabbed some horns from a DMX song, and then some keyboards from Take On Me, and then Party Rock, the drum beat.
Yeah. Like...
It's the best thing I've ever created. I can't top it. I can't even top it.
Watch some videos on YouTube. It'll change your life.
Yeah, Fuser. It's honestly like one of the best games I played this entire year. Just made me happy. And so easy to pick up and play and practice. And, you know, it just... Oh my gosh. Anyway, it makes me so happy playing that game. I played a little, obviously Jedi Fallen Order, since it's on Game Pass now. Shout out Game Pass. And then Watchdogs Legion I played on the Xbox Series X, and there's some gameplay elements that I struggle with that game, but it looked fantastic. And, there were some long loading times on the 1X, and so on the Series X, it's like cut in half. Anyway, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I don't know, if you're I guess a quick review. In Watchdogs Legion, you can basically recruit anybody in London to join DedSec, which is the hacker organization that you're trying to rebuild.
I still want my army of grandmas. I said it before.
You can. It's just, you just don't care about the characters. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it weirdly, feels like, these characters are an afterthought. Because, who cares what happens to them? I can go and recruit grandma over here and recruit a construction worker over there, and it doesn't really matter who I'm playing as. And so, I think if they did like a group approach where you did have specific members of a team, that you do recruit, but give them proper backstory and things like that, then maybe it would have been better. But anyway, it's very ambitious, and I applaud the Ubisoft developers for making it. But anyway, it's one of those games also where I think if they would have just had it released in the springtime, not 2 weeks before Assassin's Creed Valhalla, then I think life would have been a lot better for it.
Oh yeah.
So, but that's what I've been playing on the Series X. Let's kind of do some final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay.
So, here's what I keep thinking as I think about the new hotness that I have. I'm so glad I have it. It's probably not necessary to own it right now. Especially on the Xbox sense, where Halo's next year sometime. Mm-hmm. Halo has a bunch of really awesome looking games coming out next year or the year after. And right now, you don't want to buy the scalper prices.
No.
You know what I mean?
If you can find it at like a retailer, go for it.
Exactly.
Do not pay those scalper prices.
Exactly right. So I am so glad I have it. I really am. I feel like I want to warn people about buying especially the Xbox, where all the games on Game Pass are going to work for your older Xbox systems. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have the money for it, don't do it yet. Save up and get it when you can, because again, there's no game on there where it's like, you have to play it on this. You can't play it on anything else. You're going to be able to play it on the older systems. You know what I mean? That's
true.
But again, I'm super glad I have it, because my main gripes with the last generation of games is the speed, the noise, and the Series X takes care of that. It's fast, it's quiet, and I can just enjoy the games that I want to play. So it's the console itself is impressive, to say the least. So I'm going to enjoy it. Again, if you can't afford it, just wait and save up money. And when it's in stock at retail price, then yes, pick up the Xbox. Okay, right. Final thoughts from you. What do you think?
Kind of to piggyback on that too, I'm glad I got the PS5. Mm-hmm. That's my Christmas gift to myself, especially according to my wife. She's like, well, you got the PS5 for Christmas. I was like, really? Okay, cool.
I'll take that.
Merry Christmas to me.
Exactly.
But some of the game, like Spider-Man, it was on the PS4 as well, so it's not a necessity to have it. But again, I'm glad I have it, because having that faster load time and just saving, updates even take less the time than they used to.
Yeah. It plays better on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Oh yeah. It's made to be that way.
Right.
And you know, like just kind of comparing the two side by side, like, you know, the packaging on the Xbox was way prettier.
Oh gosh, yes.
The box on the PlayStation was bigger.
Yep.
But I mean, it was just like, okay, let me get to it. But having both of them out, I'm like, these things are things of beauty.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you watch our YouTube unboxings on our channel, like you can see like how beefy these things are. Like trying to hold them on one hand, it's like it's straining. Like you need two hands to hold it, and you want to protect it anyway.
That's right.
But like there's so much more going on in the machines, I feel like, than the last gen consoles. And just overall, I think they're great investments. And it's kind of nice, you know, because me and Ryan are boys, so I can come over here and experience the Xbox, and he'd come over to my house and experience the PlayStation.
Oh yeah.
So we get the best of both worlds without having to spend an arm and a leg on having all the consoles.
Right. I'm glad they are the price point that they are, because I mean, you guys probably heard the episodes that we've talked about this over and over. I was expecting these things to be so much more expensive than they actually were. So, and again, they're expensive. Don't get me wrong, but I was expecting like $600, $700.
I was expecting that.
Right, and I was just like, oh, please don't do this. And so, you know, shout out to those companies that can take a hit money-wise and sell it for at least a little bit more affordable. So there you have it. Some quick thoughts on next-gen gaming with the Xbox Series X and with PlayStation 5. Again, it feels so weird having these launch in a pandemic where, you know, it kind of puts things in perspective. You know what I mean? I'm so glad we have them, but, you know, there's probably other more important things going on right now that, you know, at this time, I'm going to be thankful for it because it's going to get me through some rough patches.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Especially with being in lockdown and, you know, don't go here and cases going up. Like, you need something that's going to keep you inside and entertained.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've got the broad range of games to play. I mean, you got all the games on the PlayStation Plus collection that we mentioned, and you got everything on the Xbox Game Pass. So you've got so many games to play.
So many.
And there's a lot of family-friendly games too. So, you know, bring the family together if they're all going crazy because they can't go out and do stuff.
Yeah.
There's some fun stuff on there.
AKA Bifuser.
Bifuser.
F-U-S-E-R.
Yes.
Do not sleep on it.
PlayStation, let's get that, please.
I know, right? PlayStation's got it.
I didn't see it on my 5.
It's on the 4.
Man.
But I thought, okay, I think you have to buy it on the 4 and then you can play it on the 5?
So I have to
if you transfer
my 4 again to get it on the...
maybe.
That's complicated. I got an Xbox, I'll just play it on that.
Okay, there we go. Look online. I could be wrong. If you have any thoughts on if you have the consoles, we would love to hear what you think about them, or any questions that you have about the consoles. You know, let us know on our social medias. Again, enter @EnterCodePod on Facebook and Twitter, or you can leave us a voicemail on anchor.fm/EnterCodePodcast. Let us know what you think, or if you have specific questions about the systems, we would love to hear about it, and we can answer it on the next episode.
For sure.
So, all right, guys, we got some gaming to do.
Yeah, we do. Good night.
But until next time, be safe, be healthy. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Play lots of games.
That's right. Bye, guys.
See ya.